Was the judgment a little bit earlier on this afternoon in the Constitutional Court, and so people are still trying to figure out what the implications are, and there are legal and political implications. And to help us unpack some of those, we're now joined by Makhosini Mgitywa, who's a political commentator as well as a communications strategist. Thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me once again.
All right, so you've worked at the MPA,
yes.
And you wouldn't see this kind of thing often where people are fired because they've been struck off the roll and also misconduct. But this is doing the rounds, and the first question is, the advocates are still advocates. That's the ruling of the Constitutional Court.
Yes.
The MPA is sitting there, and as far as they're concerned, these are ex-employees. Does this game change, or does that remain the same?
I don't think that it will change the game, because there was an inquiry which was looking into their fitness to hold office, which pronounced itself. I think the decision today simply means that they can work as advocate. It means that they can be in private practice. It means that they can be employed elsewhere where they can apply their skills and their training as lawyers, and particularly as advocates. They can represent clients at at High Court. So I think this simply means that they are free to practice their profession. I'm not sure if that means that they can go back to the NPA. But even if they could, I think that would be a bad idea, because the NPA now is seized with issues of making sure that justice is administered in South Africa, and I don't think that you can do it with people with so much baggage, whether they are innocent or not at this point. I think purely for the interest of the NPA and the interest of the country, I don't think it would be a good thing for them to return to the NPA, because they would be a distraction. All decisions that they take would be, every time they would have to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb. And I don't think that for them as advocates that would be a good thing. But I don't think that it would be a good thing for the NPA, whose decisions must not be questioned in that way.
So one of the challenges that may come up now is that Advocate Jiba, through her lawyer, suggested that not all people are equal, and said that Willie Hofmeyr had a judgment that was adverse to him, but he doesn't seem to be brought under the same scrutiny. Is this something that MPA head Shamila Bitoy will have to look at to get it out of the way?
Look, I don't think that you will find a perfectly good person and a perfectly bad person. So if you look at the NPA right now and the history that it has had in the past several years, it would be very difficult to find anybody in the NPA who has nothing against them, that adverse that's been said at one point or the other. But where the adverse findings and decisions that have been taken talk to the integrity of the person, we all make mistakes in our lives, in the work that we do. But where the question is about the integrity of the person and whether a person can be trusted or not, I think there, the measurements must be different in terms of who stays at the NPA and who doesn't stay at the NPA. If you've had a commission or an inquiry into someone's fitness to hold office, and that inquiry cost taxpayers' money, we all paid attention to it, and I don't think that you can, because of one judgment that's been taken elsewhere, overturn all that. But for me, the biggest problem, Peter, is that if with so much that has been said about Advocate Jiba and Advocate Mrwebi, if they were to go back to the NPA, I think that would place the NPA in a very difficult position where it would even be difficult for it to carry out its work. We must remember that the NPA is not a private entity. It's a national. It's a national prosecuting authority of South Africa. It prosecutes on behalf of the people of South Africa, and I think people who are appointed to the NPA must be people who do not have as much baggage as we've seen with these two advocates.
All right,
in my
so
view.
There must be some political fallout or implications. The president went through quite a process to make sure that the decision that he finally made has some support, some sort of process behind it. And the inquiry, it looks like Advocates Jiba certainly might challenge the inquiry's findings. If that happens, but that's quite a way down the line, what does that mean for the president? What does that mean for Parliament that still have to ratify his decision?
Look, I think, the president he followed the process, as you correctly pointed out, and it's very difficult to fault him insofar as that process is concerned. And, the two advocates must enjoy their right constitutionally to challenge whatever decisions against them that they feel were unjust or unfair. Maybe they can even raise the issue of today's ruling by the Constitutional Court to say if we are fit and proper to be advocates, we should be fit and proper to be prosecutors under the NPA, and they are quite free to follow that process. In my view, it's their right to do so. But I think that what we should be careful as citizens and as the media is that we shouldn't allow the matter of two people, two lawyers, two advocates, to be a distraction from the very many challenges that this country is facing. We have record unemployment, young people, the majority of young people who should be working are not working. Small enterprises, small, medium and micro enterprises that should be getting government support, aren't getting that support. And those are the discussions that as a country I think we should be seized with more than just talking about two people, whether they get work or not. But one understands the importance that they had. For instance, Nomgcobo Jiba was for a very long time acting National Director of Public Prosecutions. But I think their processes, they can start them and proceed with them. But, I don't think that as a country we should spend too much time on them. And I think already we have spent too much time on them. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about this now.
Yes.
Of course, we should be talking about it. It's topical.
And it's precedent setting, I guess.
Yes, exactly. It's precedent setting. We should be talking about it. But I don't think that also they should put themselves in a situation where the nation is only seized about talking about them instead of talking about other challenges. I mean, these are highly trained people. They can go find work somewhere. They can reinvent themselves and reappear somewhere.
That's if the bar doesn't go after them still.
Exactly, yes.
All right, so Parliament has to weigh up this decision by the President. And, there is a political overtone that's come through the Commission of Inquiry. Ngasana says that there was political pressure and that Jiba was part of that process. Would there be, and we know that there are factions within Parliament, would there be someone who'd have the appetite to defend Jiba when her case comes before Parliament?
It could be. There could very well be. There could very well be. Nomgcobo Jiba and Lawrence Mrwebi were at the height of their power in the NPA when the former president Jacob Zuma was in power. And I think they would get a lot of sympathizers on the part of the faction that supported former President Jacob Zuma. But we'll have to wait and see how they proceed with that, if they want to proceed at all. But, I don't know that they would want to do that regardless of all this history that is not positive. I don't know that, they would want the NPA to be subjected to a situation where its decisions are questioned, because you can return them, but each and every decision that they made, they make, will be put under the spotlight in a manner that is not helpful to the NPA, quite frankly.
All right, Makhosini Mgitywa, we're going to have to leave it there, but this is one of these stories. There's definitely more chapters still to unfold,
yes.
and we'll see where they take us. But thanks so much indeed for coming through
Thank
and
you for
sharing
having
your
me.
insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.